Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens 2. Rebirth of Emperor Yang Part 17 based on novel. So let's start. When they heard the speech, their faces trembled violently. The three fighters of Qingyun Mansion were silent for a while. Merciful, he also dares to say this sentence. It's good for them to have more than 100,000 spirit coins. It still depends on years of accumulation, but this guy is 500,000 as soon as he exports. What does he think of spirit coins? The three people looked at each other, frowned tightly, and their mood changed rapidly, but there was still no way after all. After hesitating for a long time, the 6-star fighter had to summon up his courage and speak to the mysterious elder. The elder and the younger generation are really poor in financial resources and can't get so many spirit coins. The sum of the spirit coins of the three of us is only 370,000. I hope the elder can give the younger generation some time. I'll quickly go back to Qingyun Mansion to get the spirit coins and send them to the elder as soon as possible. Do you think I will believe you? Can I come back after I leave? When the angry voice came, the three suddenly felt cold all over, and their bodies couldn't help shaking violently. Just wanted to answer, the voice came again. Okay, I'm upset when I see you. Go away. If you dare to make trouble in the Liu family again, there's no next time. Hearing the speech, the three quickly kowtowed and thanked, quickly turned around and wanted to leave, but the mysterious voice sounded again. Wait, leave the spirit coin. Hearing the speech, the three dared not neglect it any more. After leaving the Ling coin, they immediately left Liu's house, left Qingyang City and ran for their lives to Qingyun's house. In the discussion hall of the Liu family, Liu Huabai and Liu Xincheng sent the people back. They also knew what they were going to do, so they quickly withdrew from the hall and dispersed. They turned their heads, but their eyes were frozen. There was no trace of the white cat in the hall. The hall was empty and silent. There was no other person. Only the cushion with some warm breath was still lying quietly on the ground. Liu Huabai shook his head and came forward to pick up the cushion, but his eyes were slightly frozen. A few wisps of white hair were left on the cushion. Liu Huabai didn't pay too much attention, but when he wanted to pick up the cushion, he seemed to suddenly find something. I saw those white hairs that seemed to fall, whether intentionally or unintentionally, formed a sentence. The meaning of the sentence made Liu Huabai show a happy smile. I saw that sentence right? Yes, you Liu family deserve his help. I'm optimistic about you. The Liu family affair has come to an end, but one more thing has just begun. Here is a mountain range with undulating mountains, just like a giant beast crawling on the ground. Bursts of animal roars set off the wilderness of the mountain. The mountain fog filled the air. It was strange that the fog was red. Where the fog is strong, there are pools of water stains left on the ground, but the color of those water stains is also so gloomy. Because the pools of water stains are also red. When the dark wind hunts, the pools of water stains and waves blow everywhere, and waves of water spread, forming the shape of ordinary smiling faces. With the bright red, it looks very evil. Brush. In the forest, the dense fog was torn apart, leaving a vacuum space. Soon, it closed again. A figure has flashed for a long time in less than 1,000th of the time just now. A few hours later, deep in the mountains, at the end of the bloody fog, before a small valley. A figure with a ferocious mask, shrouded in black fog, emerged. Under the mask, a pair of shadowy old eyes looked at the valley and looked down. They were not very strong black fog. A look of resentment appeared in their eyes. After a good film, the figure, surrounded by black fog, moved and ran towards the valley, leaving a bitter oath. Xiao Yan. When I find you next time and finish the task, I will break you into pieces and avenge my serious injury. This person is the old devil who escaped when Xiao Yan didn't pay attention. After a while, the old devil came to a dark hall. 100 feet away from the hall, an energy shield that can be seen from the inside out is protecting the whole hall. Outside, there is no difference between here and those mountains. Looking at the dark door, the young devil old ghost showed a smile at the corners of his mouth, his hands changed rapidly, and mysterious printing formulas were sacrificed by him. The surface of the dark gate shimmered. Only a moment later, the gate opened in a creak. A dark passage appeared in front of the Yenmore old ghost. The passage is extremely dark. It seems that even the space in it is dark and viscous. At a glance, there is a sense of fear from the depths of the soul. It seems that it is not a passage to the depths of the hall, but a yellow spring road to the nether hell, which makes people's soul tremble and tremble. The old devil took a deep breath and looked at the dark passage with his dark eyes open. Even though he walked many times, whenever he saw the dark passage, he would gush a strong sense of death from the bottom of his heart. If it were not for the past, the normal experience of taking this channel would still remind him in his mind. I'm afraid that at the moment, he would have turned and fled. Calm down, take a deep breath again, then spit it out slowly, roll your throat and swallow a mouthful of saliva. The heavy steps slowly stepped forward and walked towards the dark passage. When he entered the hall, the door closed slowly in a creak. And here, it has also turned into a dark forest, which is no different from other places. A burst of heavy footsteps sounded, a dark passage and a figure gradually appeared. This person is the old devil. With the sound of gold and iron, the whole body was dark one by one, and the cable chain engraved with mysterious seal characters locked the exit of the channel in an instant. Several figures, dressed in black and unable to see their faces, appeared at the entrance of the channel, holding a chain in their hands, ready to deal with emergencies. The figure appeared from the passage. As soon as they saw it, they flashed and disappeared in place with the chain. The young devil old ghost didn't pay attention to the people who disappeared. It was obvious that he had been very clear about these for a long time. The Yenmore old ghost breathed out a breath, and his eyes were a little afraid. He turned his head and looked at the dark channel. He did not speak, but walked softly toward the middle of the temple. At the same time, a mountain far from here. An old man in green clothes with white hair and beard was smiling easily. He looked at several green mountains in the distance, smiled and sighed. I'm Yuanqing, finally back. A vast mountains, a bloody fog, a dark forest. Tap tap tap. Accompanied by a burst of footsteps with compact rhythm, a dark hall and a figure wrapped in black fog are moving forward slowly. The hall was dark, and the vision was even less than 10 feet. The figure looked straight ahead and was indifferent to the endless darkness. There was no wave in his eyes. The seemingly gentle pace is extremely fast. A hall of newer university has come to the end in only a moment. The old devil stopped and looked up to the front. The front was still as dark as ever, without a trace of light. Everything here looked so empty, the body leans forward slightly, and the steps continue to step forward. After a while, the old devil stopped again and looked around. It turned out to be another dark channel. The dark space makes people wonder whether it's an illusion or what's going on. The space here is incredibly dense. There is a sticky feeling. Even breathing, there is a feeling like inhaling water into the lungs. The old devil took a deep breath of the viscous air and slowly spit it out. When he was about to open his mouth, another old voice came first. Young devil, old ghost? Why did you come back? As soon as the voice fell, he gave another light sigh and said, Eh? I think your blood and chi are vain and your soul is weak. None of your men have survived. Won't you be hurt by the old guy Yuanqing? The old devil snorted coldly when he heard the speech, twisted his neck angrily and replied. It would be nice if it were just Yuanqing. If so, I can kill him that day. The man who didn't know where he was raised his eyebrows slightly and said again. Oh. So the young man still has help? Did they send someone again? He shook his head, frowned and said. But it shouldn't be. If they send someone over, the headquarters will certainly tell us, but it doesn't look like it. Well, I won't tell you first. I'll go to the temple lord first. After I meet the temple lord, the lord of the temple will tell you. With that, he was about to step inside the channel, but suddenly stopped. A black figure wrapped in black robes appeared in front of the young devil old ghost. The figure in black gave a sneer and smiled at the old devil. Lord of the Temple, is it what you want to see? Lord of the Temple has already told me that he wants to shut down. If it doesn't take a few months, you will never see him. Then he smiled and glanced at the old devil and continued. What's more, the Lord of the Temple just closed the door 10 days ago and said that there was no big event. Don't disturb him. You should also know the Lord's temper. You want to see, Do you think it's possible? After hearing this, the old devil was relieved of his nervousness. He knew the Temple Lord's temper. Once it was exported, no one could violate it. But at this moment, as long as there was a sentence behind him, even if it was to disturb the Temple Lord's retreat, the Temple Lord was determined not to punish him. Therefore, the old devil looked at the figure in black robe in front of him with a sneer on his face and slowly said, In that case, please make way for me. I have something urgent to report to the Hall Lord. When the figure in black robe heard the speech, the eyebrows under the black robe frowned tightly, snorted coldly, and said, I don't believe it. What's the big deal that can make you provoke the Lord of the Temple like this? Are you really afraid of death? The last word spit out by the black-robed man bite very hard, which makes people uncomfortable. But the old devil sneered and said, Death? I advise you to get out of the way as soon as possible, otherwise, when the time passes, it may not be who will die. But be careful of your old life and don't be scared in the end. The man in black raised his head fiercely when he heard the speech, and his anger rose in his cloudy eyes. With a heavy cold the figure of the black-robed man flashed and disappeared in front of the young devil old ghost. The old devil gave a sneer, raised his feet and went to the inside of the channel. A moment later, the old devil finally came out of the dark passage, his face looked numb. The old devil appeared in an empty hall, which was very different from the outside. Just like, one is the netherworld and the other is the ancient fairyland. Here, the first thing that comes into view is a layer of misty white fog which has been lingering in the hall, like a fairy spirit. With the dark passage behind the Yenmore old ghost, it's like going to a different world. The walls of the hall are all made of crystal white jade, which emits white light. You can see that this jade is not ordinary. In the center of the hall, there are 3 transparent and colorless light groups hanging in the air, emitting ying light to illuminate the whole hall. The light mass looks ordinary, as if it is only used for light. But in terms of the bursts of energy fluctuations emitted from it, this light mass is by no means ordinary. If Xiao Yan was here, he could recognize at a glance that all the 3 light groups were the source of the soul collected by the former soul hall. The white mist is also emitted by these 3 light masses. Those white mists are the source of pure soul. However, the old devil seems to be used to these. However, from his dark eyes, the color of greed showed at the moment still spoke of his desire for the origin of these souls. Suddenly, a voice filled with rage came, which made the whole hall vibrate slightly. Young devil! Don't you know that the Lord of the Temple is closed? How dare you disturb me at this time? You can't kill me. As soon as he said this, the old devil suddenly regained his mind, with a look of panic on his face, calmed down, and hurried to say, When I returned to the Hall Lord, my subordinates didn't dare to disturb the Hall Lord's closed-door practice, but what my subordinates had to report this time. For us, it's really important without any delay. Therefore, my subordinates dared to disturb the Hall Lord's closed door. I hope the Hall Lord will forgive me. The owner of the voice frowned and took a deep breath when he heard the speech. It was not until after the good film was carved that he gave a cold hum and a loud roar of dissatisfaction. Say, if it's not a big deal, I'll kill you. As soon as he said this, the old devil suddenly felt that the temperature around him had dropped sharply and became extremely cold, but he was not afraid of it. The old devil looked up confidently, looked straight ahead, and said word by word. Hall Lord, Xiao Yan, has arrived. A fierce wave of fighting spirit surged, and the whole hall was swept by a powerful fighting storm. The fog dispersed, and everything in the hall appeared. In this way, the whole hall looked very empty. At the moment when the storm swept through, the old devil's face suddenly changed, and he stepped back a few steps, which was the only way to avoid it. When the storm dispersed, the old devil turned his head angrily and looked into the hall. The Yenmo old ghost looked at it calmly. In the middle of the hall, a figure wrapped in black robes was standing impressively. A few feet above the head of the black-robed figure, 3 light masses hung in the air. Until now, the Yenmo old ghost really saw the structure of the whole hall. The whole hall is made of warm white jade. Even the utensils in the hall are ordinary. The whole hall looks moist and white, but at this moment, the old devil in the hall and the figure in black robe are out of tune in this bright and clean color. There is also the black chain with 3 light masses locked. The dark chain is the same as the chain in the hands of the previous black-robed people, but it seems to be 1 size larger than the latter in size. At the end of the chain, it disappeared into the highest part of the top of the hall. There was a white jade pillar in the shape of an awl. The dark chain was coiled on it and buckled into it. The runes engraved on the chain are emitting bursts of light at the moment. While the glimmer flickered, a milky air stream flashed slowly over the chain and extended to the end of the chain. The figure in the black robe, the eyes under the black robe staring at the Yenmo old ghost, looked cold, which made the Yenmo old ghost feel cold for a moment. He quickly bowed to the figure in black and said humbly, "My subordinates, Yang Devil, meet the Lord of the Temple." Hearing the speech, the man in black gave a cold hum, turned and walked slowly towards the only seat in the hall. At the same time, he said in his mouth, "The Xiao Yan you just mentioned is the Xiao Yan who fights against the mainland." This sentence is very plain, but anyone can hear the excitement hidden in the words. It's like a friend who has been away for many years. Now he finally heard the news again. When the old devil heard the speech, he flashed a bright color in his eyes, nodded slightly, and said to the black robe, "Back to the temple, Lord, according to the place where the man appeared and his taboo about himself, it should not be wrong." Before his voice fell, he opened his mouth and continued. Moreover, his subordinates are still on him and feel the power of extremely violent flame, which is also in line with Xiao Yang's attribute characteristics. Therefore, this Xiao Yang should be the Xiao Yang we are looking for. Yenmo old ghost said here, his eyes turned slightly and opened his mouth slightly, as if to say something, but he still didn't export after all. The man in black heard that the speech was silent for a long time, exhaled deeply and looked up slightly. Suddenly, a flash of pure light flashed, and the man in black rose up and stood in mid-air. At the same time, a fierce and domineering breath spread all over the hall in an instant, and a voice came out slowly at this time. "Everyone, gather quickly in the main hall. The lord of this hall has a big announcement." Once the voice came out, everyone in the whole hall was shocked instantly. Even some people who had been closed for a long time were forcibly awakened at this time. Moving, they got up one after another and flew away in the direction of the main hall. At the same time, another place, another person, is reporting the same thing to another person. A magnificent hall, in which a crowd stood, with a curious look on their faces, looked at one of the people in the hall. In the middle of the main hall, an old man in green clothes and white temples is sitting on an old man in Chinese clothes towards the Lord. Deacon Yunmai, Xiao Yan, is really a rare talent. Although he was born in poverty, he is tough. He has such strength with a casual cultivation, so you think we should put it under the Cloud Immortal sect, so that it can be used by our sect, expand our Cloud Immortal sect, and fight against the Ghost Break Gate together. Before Yuan Qing's words were finished, the old man who sat on the Lord's seat and was called Yunmai opened his mouth, and then Yuan Qing continued. Hearing the speech, Yuan Qing nodded quickly, as if to enable the old man to nod and agree. Yuan Qing said again. Moreover, this Xiao Yan, I think there may have been some resentment between him and the Ghost Break Door, because he took a heavy hand on the Yang Devil Old Ghost, and... At this point, Yuan Qing paused until Yunmai could not help but say something. Yuan Qing looked up slightly, looked at Yunmai and continued to speak, saying, "Moreover, I think the Yenmo Old Ghost and others came to this southwest region just for Xiao Yang." As soon as these words came out, all the people in the hall began to speak to each other. They have been guarding the mainland border for so many years because they don't know what the Ghost Break Door is waiting for, so they have been restrained here all the time. Now, this Yuanqing is such a big answer as soon as it is exported. I came to the mainland border just to wait for someone. The answer seems too pale. The cloud eyebrow was also slightly frowned. He looked at Yuanqing with a deep face and motioned him not to continue talking about it. Yuanqing also understood this. His eyes turned slightly and looked up at Yun Mai. It seemed that he wanted to say something, but he didn't export it in the end. After a long time, Yuanqing smiled and said, "Hee, this is just my personal guess. There is no basis. You don't have to take it to heart. Just think it's a joke." When they heard the speech, they all glanced at Yuanqing and ignored it. Under the guidance of Yun Mai, the people in the hall returned to calm again. Yun Mai glanced at the people who had recovered in the hall, then paused on Yuanqing, and then said, "Yuanqing, according to what you said before, this Xiao Yan is really good. It's not necessary for our Yangxianzong. I don't know your intention, but Xiao Yan's will." As soon as Yun Mai said this, everyone didn't understand except Yuanqing. Normally speaking, Yuanqing's words should be entrusted by Xiao Yan. How can we ask Yuanqing if it means Xiao Yan? This is indeed somewhat incomprehensible. This video will end here.